Hi everyone, it's National Storytelling Week again, and just like last year, I've got some stories that I want to tell you. But this year, rather than just poetry, it's going to be a mix of poetry and prose. Now, the first one in here is actually a prose piece. It's a short story, but I didn't write this recently, having just got into writing short stories. I wrote this several years ago, back when I was a speech and language therapist, in between appointments, feeling very frustrated with the very silly children's books that I was having to read. I decided to write a deliberately very absurd story that sounds like a children's story but isn't really. So this was my first attempt at writing a short story, so don't be too harsh, and I might struggle to read the whole thing with a straight face because I make myself laugh sometimes, which I know is a bit vain, but what can I say? This is called The Bubble Zone. Sometimes in life, you have to think hard about what to do. You could do something that seems good at first, but turns out bad later on. Or you could do something that makes you really happy, but wipes out an entire civilization. This is a story about a girl who had to think really hard about what to do. Semolina was an ordinary girl, almost as ordinary as you. She lived in a flat in Birmingham with her mum and dad and her baby brother James. Everyone called her Sem. One day, Sem was playing with her baby brother James. She was blowing great big bubbles for him, and he was laughing very loudly. There was just one problem. Babies are boring. Whenever Sem tried to put the bubbles away, James stopped laughing and started crying. Poor Sem. But she had a plan. She went and got the hula hoop Mum had used to exercise in the mornings for 4 days after New Year. She filled it up with bubble mix and began to blow the biggest bubble ever. She blew, and the bubble grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew until the biggest bubble ever was floating in her front room. James was very scared and fell backwards onto a pillow crying. Sem looked at the bubble and her mouth fell open. She couldn't believe her eyes. Just then, the bubble started floating towards her. She tried to find a way to escape, but she was trapped. The bubble hit her and she was pulled inside. Sem found herself floating in a big empty space. She was in the giant bubble. Now Sem felt scared. She was all alone and stuck in a bubble. "Hello," said a wobbly voice. Sem turned around and saw a person made of bubbles floating towards her. "My name is Bubble Craig," he wibbled. I'm Sem," said Sem. "Ah, short for Semolina, no doubt," quivered Bubble Craig. "Welcome to the Bubble Zone." "What's the Bubble Zone?" asked Sem. "It's a bubble world. It's my home," Bubble Craig trembled. "You live here with your family?" Sem asked. "My family are dead," shook Bubble Craig. "Oh," said Sem. One bubble tear flew out of the bubble man's eye and disappeared. Sem knew that she had to get back to her own family. But how? "How do I get out of this bubble?" she asked. But Bubble Craig shook his head sadly. "You can't leave the bubble zone," he trembled. "The only way out is to pop the bubble." "Well, I'll pop the bubble then," Sem said, happy to see a way out. But Bubble Craig screamed see-throughly. "You can't do that. If you pop the bubble, my world will be destroyed. The bubble zone is my home." he rippled. Sem had a finger pointed at the edge of the bubble zone, ready to pop it from the inside, but she didn't want to destroy Bubble Craig's home. "If I don't pop it," she cried, "I'll never see my family again." "If you do pop it," Bubble Craig gyrated, "I will die." Sem didn't know if she could do it. After all they'd been through, could she kill her friend, Bubble Craig? Sem started to cry. "It's okay," vibrated Bubble Craig. "I know it's really hard to know what to do." To make her feel better, Bubble Craig put a friendly hand on Sem's shoulder. But, oh no! Bubbles are never meant to be touched. Bubble Craig exploded, and Sem screamed as the bubble mix flew into her eyes, blinding her. Bubble Craig was dead. Sem felt sad that her only friend in the bubble zone had exploded and flown into her eyes, blinding her. But now she didn't have to worry about killing him if she popped the bubble. Sem stretched out a finger. "Here we go," she said. Sem poked the bubble, which popped and sent her tumbling out back into her flat. She stood up and brushed herself down. Her mum was waiting for her. "So," Mum said, "I see you too have made a journey into the bubble zone, just like me when I was a young girl." Sem looked at her mum, feeling amazed. "You've been to the bubble zone too?" she asked. "Yes," Mum replied. "Many years ago. It was full of life then. Before. Sem's mum began to tell her all about her adventures in the bubble zone many years ago. That is a story for another time, though. For now, I will only say this. All is not what it seems, and the bubble zone is not as lost as you think. I should know. I live there. Love from Bubble Craig.